Okay, now that we've talked about triangles, we're going to go a little further and be able to identify the different types. So before we do that, let's review the angles inside a triangle. So if we look at number 9, this is very similar to one of the ones we did on Monday night's video, except here that we're asked to find the value of x. But after we're asked to find the value of x, it then says find each angle measure. So there's an extra step we have to do. So we first know a plus b plus c equals 180. A was 6x minus 7. I'm going to add 3x plus 4. Then I'm going to add 9x minus 15. That gives me 180. I'm adding them all together. When I combine my like terms of my x's, a 6 and a 3 is a 9. Another 9 is an 18. Then I have a negative 7 and a 4, a positive. So that gives me a negative 3. And then a negative 15 would give me a negative 18. That still equals 180. I solve my equation by adding 18 to both sides, so that 18x equals 198. I divide both sides by 18, so that x equals 11. So, did I answer my question? The answer is partly. My question said find the value of x. I did that. The value of x is 11. But then it says find each angle measure. So I'm going to have to take 11 and plug it back into each angle. So I'll start with A. I replace the x with its value. That x is now 11. So 6 times 11 minus 7 would be 66 minus 7, which would be 59. So A is 59 degrees. I do the same thing with B. I replace the x in the 3x with 11. I do 3 times 11, which is 33. I add 4, that is 37. So angle B is 37 degrees. Last, I take 9x minus 15. I substitute in 11 for x. I get 99 minus 15 equals 84. Well, how can I check to see that these angle measures are correct? What should A, B, and C all add up to? You're right, they should all add up to 180, and they do. So now let's get into our types of angles. So there's 3 types. When we classify angles, we can classify them by their angles or by their sides. When we have a triangle that has all acute angles, it's called an acute. But what that means is all 3 angles are less than 90, no matter what. Every single one is less than 90. An obtuse triangle might look something like this, okay? And we have one angle that is greater than 90, and that is only one angle. Then a right triangle, do not assume it is right unless it has that marking. It might look like it, but we don't know. Okay, so as long as it's got that little square box, it's a right triangle. A right triangle has one right angle, exactly 90 degrees. Then we can classify by its sides, and it's really important that you understand all these markings because they might just give you the markings and you have to know. So a triangle with no congruent sides might look like this. Those 3 sides have different lengths. Those are called scalene. A triangle with 2 congruent sides. So let's put our variables. Okay, AB would be congruent to AC. That symbol means congruent. So AB is congruent to AC. That's what those markings there mean. That means AB and AC are the same length. A triangle like this, okay, will also have angle B, and angle C that are congruent. Okay? That is an isosceles triangle. Last, we have, oh, and I want you to write this down, I'm sorry, because I want you to make sure that you understand what congruent means. That symbol means congruent. Congruent means they are equal, or they are the same, I should say. So now when all our sides are congruent, okay, what's going to happen is all three sides will have the same marking. If you look back at the scaling, each side had a different number of lines, okay? That means they're different measures. Well, in this third triangle, they all have a single marking, meaning they're all the same. That is an equilateral. DE would be congruent to EF. EF is congruent to FD, and then FD is congruent to DE. An equilateral triangle, you could also say, is equiangular, meaning angle E and angle F are congruent. Angle F and angle D are congruent. And then angle D and angle E are congruent. So if it's equilateral, it's also equiangular. And we're going to see some of that. So all I'm doing here is I'm classifying each triangle by its angles and by its sides. So if you look at number 10, okay, there's the markings on each side, and there's only 2 of them, meaning it is isosceles. So I just classified it by its sides. Now if you look again, there is that little square box telling me that this is a right triangle. So therefore, I just classified it by its angles. So let's go look at number 11. If I look all 3 angles, right? I'm looking at all 3 angles here. It only really tells me 2 of them. But I technically know if those 2 are 60, 60 plus 60 is 120, the third one is 60. I also see that all the sides are the same, meaning it is equilateral, because that's the sides, they're all 8 centimeters, and it's equiangular, okay? Or it's an acute triangle. You could also write in, and I want you to write in, acute. It is an acute triangle. So make sure you're writing in acute. Okay, we're going to write, I'm looking to see that you wrote that in. Then let's go to number 12. There are no markings on the side. There are no measurements on the side, telling me none of the sides are equal, meaning this is a scalene triangle. But now I need to determine if that third angle is obtuse, acute, or right. So I would add my 2 angles and get 63. I then subtract that from 180 and get 117. So that means that missing angle is in fact obtuse. So that means it is an obtuse triangle. So you are going to finish 13, 14, and 15. I want you to classify the triangle by its angles and classify by its sides. So I'm looking for 2 words here, okay? So let's go look at this one. This is taking everything we've learned about triangles. So if I have a triangle, J, K, L, so those are my 3 angles. It tells me the measure of angle J, K, and L. It wants me to find the measure of each angle and classify. Now I'm going to say something. When in doubt, draw it out if you need to. So if you need to see this, draw it out. But I know that J plus K plus L should equal 180. So I'm going to go look. J was 5x minus 3. So replace J with 5x minus 3. K was 11x plus 13. So I'm going to replace K with 11x plus 13. L was 9x minus 5, so I replace L with 9x minus 5. Now I'm going to share with you, you don't have to do every single line like that. You can replace them all at once. But I just wanted to show you how each thing was coming into the equation. So now I'm going to combine my like terms. I'm going to look at my x variables first. I have a 5, an 11, and a 9, which gives me 25. Then I have -3, 13, and -5. Okay, that's going to give me a +5. All of that still equals 180. Subtract 5 from both sides. So 25x equals 175. Divide both sides by 25, and x equals 7. With me? So since x equals 7, I have found the value of x, but this says find the measure of each angle and then classify. Well, we started the video today with this skill. We did that for a reason. Now I replace the 7 into the 5x minus 3, and I get 32. I replace the 7 into the 11x plus 13, and I get 90. And I replace the 7 into the 9x minus 5, and I get 58. When you find the value of x, you replace it in the expression, and then you evaluate. Now, if you look at your three measures, I have 32, 90, and 58. The key one that sticks out is 90, meaning this is a right triangle. You have now found the measure of each angle, and you've classified it. Now this problem is done. It's okay if you still don't get it, but it's not okay that you're sitting there not asking for help. So if there's something you don't understand, ask. You might have to go back and rewatch the video, but I would study all your different types of triangles.